In this article, James Coburn identifies 20 actors from the Golden Age who were brutally harsh in real life. On the 31st of August in 1928, James Coburn was born as James Harrison Coburn III in the little town of Laurel, Nebraska, which is located in the Midwest of the United States. The poor beginnings of his life were shaped by his roots in the working class. Millet Johnson, his mother, was of Swedish descent, while his father, James Harrison Coburn II, was of Scottish-Irish descent and worked in the garage industry. On the other hand, his mother was of Swedish heritage. In the midst of the Great Depression, the family relocated to Compton, California, expecting to find better chances for economic advancement. When James was a young boy, he spent his childhood in a fast-rising suburb of Los Angeles. He went to Compton Junior College and had an early interest in the performing arts and the arts in general. As a truck driver and a disc jockey for an Army radio station in Texas, Coburn was drafted into the United States Army in 1950 during the Korean War. He served in this capacity for the duration of the conflict. After finishing his time in the military, he went back to civilian life and began to pursue his passion for acting in a more serious manner. After completing his acting training at Los Angeles City College, he went on to attend the famed Sanford Meisner's Neighborhood Playhouse, School of the in New York City. It was there that he honed his art and created his own distinctive film presence. The late 1950s saw the beginning of James Coburn's career in Hollywood, which began with him playing supporting roles in films and television shows. In 1959, he made a remarkable early cameo in the classic Western film Lonesome, which displayed his rough manner and stoic delivery. This was a significant moment for him. But it was his breakthrough performance as Britt, the knife-throwing shooter in The Magnificent Seven in 1960, that propelled him to the forefront of the entertainment industry. This Western adaptation of Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai became a box office smash and a genre-defining masterpiece. The film was a Western adaptation of the novel. Furthermore, the quiet and unassuming manner in which Coburn performed set him apart from the other members of the ensemble cast, which also included Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, and Yul Brynner. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Coburn established himself as a charismatic and tough guy actor. He was well known for his lanky stature, growly voice, and sardonic charm. His filmography includes a number of action-packed pictures, including Hell is for Heroes, 1962, The Great Escape, 1963, Our Man Flint, 1966, and its sequel, In Like Flint, 1967. He regularly played both heroes and anti-heroes in these films. The last two films, which established him as a leading man with a flair for both action and comedy, were the ones that brought the James Bond espionage genre to the forefront of its popularity. Because of his flexibility, Coburn was able to play characters in films that were both serious and even countercultural. Some of these films include Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which was directed by Sam Peckinpah in 1973, and Duck You Sucker, which was directed by Sergio Leone in 1971. Through his collaborations with some of the most forward-thinking directors of the day, he became a symbol of the shifting conceptions of masculinity in the Hollywood film industry. The individual is cool, understated, and unafraid of moral uncertainty. Over the course of the 1980s, however, Coburn's career began to slow down as a result of a severe and devastating case of rheumatoid arthritis. This condition caused him to be in constant agony and substantially restricted his mobility. He maintained his involvement in voice work and supporting parts despite the toll it took on both his personal and professional life. His resilience and enduring spirit were demonstrated by his willingness to persevere through his illness, which became a tribute to his perseverance. In a stunning comeback that took place in the late 1990s, Coburn made his return to the big screen with a powerful performance in the film Affliction, 1997, which was directed by Paul Schrader. It was for his terrifying and unforgettable performance as a domineering and abusive father in the film that he was awarded the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 1999. Nick Nola was the actor who played the role of the father. Following years of physical pain and decades of working in the sector, an emotional victory was achieved. James Coburn continued to work as an actor right up until the time of his passing, participating in a wide range of productions, including voice roles in animated films such as Monsters, Inc. In the year 2001, he provided the voice of the wicked, Henry J. Waternoose III. His gravitas, wit, and voice that was instantly identifiable added depth and credibility to every act he went through. Over the course of his life, James Coburn was married twice, and each of those marriages played significant parts in his personal growth and legacy. Beverly Kelly was the victim of his first marriage, which took place in the year 1959. It was around this time that Coburn was beginning to establish himself as a significant player in Hollywood. He was well known for his rugged good looks, deep voice, and compelling film presence. In the early years of his acting career, when he was transitioning from supporting roles in television and film to leading man status, Beverly Kelly, who had previously worked as a dancer and actress, was there to provide support for Coburn. These early years were often unpredictable. Together they were blessed with two children, a boy named James H. Coburn Fofor, who went on to pursue a career in the entertainment industry as a director and producer, and a daughter named Lisa Coburn. In spite of the fact that it was long-lasting and fruitful in many ways, their marriage, which lasted for 2 decades, was not without its difficulties. Coburn's busy job, frequent travel for film shoots, and his developing troubles with rheumatoid arthritis, a condition that caused him great physical discomfort and hampered his movement for many years, all contributed to the strain that was placed on their relationship. Despite the fact that after a marriage that lasted for 20 years, the pair was unable to resolve their disagreements and ultimately separated in 1979. As a result of the dissolution of his marriage, Coburn began to place a greater emphasis on the management of his health and the pursuit of emotional and spiritual equilibrium. This event turned out to be a turning point in his personal life. Over the course of more than a decade, Coburn did not marry again after his divorce concluded. In order to alleviate the symptoms of his painful arthritis, he investigated a number of alternative treatments at that period of time. These treatments included Eastern medicine, yoga, and a macrobiotic diet. The meeting that he had with Paula Murad, an actress and television host in the early 1990s, was another significant turning point in his life. They became acquainted with one another through mutual connections in the profession, and they rapidly developed a profound connection with one another as they shared similar values, interests in health and spirituality, and a shared enthusiasm for charitable giving. Following an extended period of romance, they tied the knot on October 22, 1993, in a ceremony that was both personal and elegant. The marriage took place in Versailles, France, a setting that mirrored their love for art, history, and European, traditional culture. It was through the marriage that Coburn had a revitalized sense of stability and joy in his life, and the couple remained together until his passing, in the year 2002. In addition to being life partners, James and Paula Coburn worked together on a number of humanitarian projects spanning their whole lives. In order to fulfill their desire to make a positive effect and give back to the community, James and Paula Coburn established the James and Paula Coburn Foundation, which is a charitable organization that is committed to helping a variety of causes. The foundation became an enduring part of their collective legacy, concentrating on subjects such as education, the arts, medical research, and holistic health programs. These are all areas that reflect the personal passions and experiences of the founders. The organization has, in particular, provided financial support to programs that provide assistance to artists, musicians, and actors who are struggling with health and financial issues. Coburn's own struggle with a persistent disease throughout his career served as a source of inspiration for him. The foundation is still active today, guaranteeing that James Coburn's impact will be felt well beyond his cinema. It will be a manifestation of the generosity and compassion that characterized his later years. Over the course of his career, James Coburn established himself as a figure who stood just outside the gleaming center of old Hollywood. He was known for his laconic, cool, and piercing sense of observation. Neither image-constructing nor public relations smoke OKC screens were of any importance to him. It is possible that the fact that Coburn placed such a high value on authenticity is the reason why he was so troubled by what he seen behind the velvet curtain of Golden Age splendor. Coburn named 20 celebrities whose off-screen behavior revealed a dark and frequently nasty undercurrent that contrasted strongly with their legendary public personas. Some of these observations were made public, while others were whispered at private parties. Coburn's candid reflections were given in private gatherings. The list, as it was supposedly detailed by Coburn, is presented here. Names that were respected by millions of people, but whose private lives, in his opinion, were tainted by cruel behavior, manipulation, or downright abuse. Joan Crawford is the first. Her body was as icy as ice. Coburn once made the following observation. Many people believe that behind the dazzling smile and statuesque beauty was a woman who possessed terrifying control. Stories of her obsessive cleanliness and violent discipline with her children, infamously chronicled in Mommy Dearest by her daughter Christina, echoed Coburn's own observations. He described her treatment of staff and subordinates as imperious and dehumanizing. 2. Bing Crosby. He sang lullabibis to the world, but treated his sons like soldiers. 3. John Wayne. To many, he was the embodiment of rugged American virtue. Coburn pointed to Crosby's rigid disciplinarian parenting style, which led to alienation and even suicide among his children. Despite the fact that Crosby was beloved for his voice and charm, Coburn saw in Crosby a man who wanted control over everyone around him. However, Coburn suggested that the Duke could be cruel in his judgments, particularly toward those who did not share his political views. Wayne was known for berating crew members and dismissing actors he saw as weak, and according to Coburn, he was not the hero he played. On the other hand, B. Davis did not suffer fools, and she did not suffer friends either, Coburn said. Though a gifted actress, Davis was known to humiliate co-stars she didn't like and sabotage actresses she saw as threats. You respected her talent, Coburn said, but feared her temper. 5. Laurence Olivier. Coburn admired Olivier's talent, but found his personal interactions manipulative and cruel. 6. Kirk Douglas, who had a magnetic screen presence, but Coburn regarded him as an emotional steamroller. He made note of the fact that Olivier was said to have undermined co-stars in order to keep the spotlight on himself, particularly in theater. He would praise you to your face, Coburn noted, and then change your scene after you had left. Douglas, who later admitted to being aggressive and arrogant in his memoirs, allegedly bullied directors and intimidated weaker co-stars to get his way. He wanted control over the camera, the set, and your soul. Coburn said 7. Joan Fontaine. Coburn found her icy, haughty, and distant, which mirrored her real-life feud with sister Olivia de Havilland. 8. Frank Sinatra. Although Coburn respected Sinatra's voice and screen charisma, he found him to be volatile and vindictive. Sinatra's power in Hollywood and his temper made him a feared figure. From mafia rumors to physical altercations and blacklisted enemies, Sinatra's power in Hollywood and his temper made him a feared figure. Fontaine's competitive streak and tendency to belittle others made her a tense presence on set. She cut with words sharper than any knife, Coburn quipped. You didn't cross him unless you wanted to vanish. 9. Errol Flynn. Flynn's devil-may-care image masked a cruel, self-centered man who treated women like possessions, Coburn said. Tales of wild parties, Underage girls and substance abuse swirled around Flynn. He lived like life owed him, Coburn added, and paid no mind to the wreckage he left behind. 10. Charles Baer. Coburn regarded Burr as narcissistic and dismissive, despite the fact that he was known for his sophisticated charm. Burr was reportedly indifferent to those he deemed beneath him, including co-stars, assistants, or extras. He'd break you down with a smile, Coburn noted. 11. James Cagney. Coburn described Cagney as short-tempered and paranoid, which surprised some people. He did not just play gangsters. He ruled like one. At the same time, Gloria Swanson Coburn found her to be vain beyond reason. Despite the fact that Swanson was a pioneer for actresses in business, he claimed that she was dismissive of anyone who was not useful to her. Behind his beloved tough guy persona, Cagney allegedly suspected betrayal everywhere and treated young actors with condescension. She allegedly cut ties without hesitation and demanded constant admiration. 13. Spencer Tracy. Though widely admired, Tracy was a complex figure. Coburn said he was driven by guilt and drink, and could be vicious when drunk. Stories of his stormy relationship with Katharine Hepburn and abusive behaviors surfaced in whispered accounts. He was a tortured man, said Coburn, and he spread the misery around. Bra Stanwyck, steel under silk, Coburn nicknamed her. He was a miserable man. His impression was that her icy and conservative judgments caused her to punish anyone who did not correspond with her views, especially younger stars who were more progressive. This was despite the fact that many people loved her expertise. 15. It was Clark Gable. Gable was a brutal alpha who didn't care who he trod on, according to Coburn, who stated that Gable was hiding behind his rakish grin. Not only was Gable notorious for his sexual behavior with women, but he was also accused of harassing co-stars whom he did not appreciate and manipulating studio politics to his personal benefit. 16. 17. I am Ava Gardner. Gardner was someone who Coburn knew on a social level, and he described her as being emotionally nasty and impulsive. In spite of the fact that her turbulent affairs and frequent drinking concealed a profound melancholy, she had a knack for hurting the ones who loved her the most, her family and friends. 17. 18. It was George C. Scott. Even though Scott was not considered to be of the golden age, Coburn selected him because of the raw and terrible savagery he displayed on filming. With a single glance, a single remark, or a slap, he would rip you to shreds. According to Coburn, his rage was like a volcano. 18. It was Robert Mitchum. At the same time, a personal adversary. Behind closed doors, Mitchum was regarded by Coburn as being condescending and often nasty, despite the fact that he was charming in public. Mitchum was seen by him belittling members of the crew and making fun of performers whom he considered to be beneath him. Even though he hid behind sarcasm, there were occasions when that sarcasm was as sharp as a razor. 19. It was Tallulah, Bankhead. In the same breath, she could be both hilarious and vicious towards others. Bankhead's wild lifestyle and caustic tongue, according to Coburn, made her both magnetic and dangerous despite her reputation. It was impossible to predict whether she would kiss you or humiliate you in front of everyone. 20. Actor Marlon Brando. Coburn referred to Brando as a genius who enjoyed breaking people, which is maybe the most surprising statement of all. Coburn found Brando to be emotionally unstable and manipulative, despite the fact that he admired his creative abilities. His nasty behavior was a result of his boredom, and he utilized your feelings as if they were clay. It was out of contempt that James Coburn chose not to reveal these names. He was of the opinion that the truth was frequently concealed by decades of image management and public relations spin. His list was not intended to tarnish legacies. Rather, it was intended to serve as a reminder that even the brightest stars can throw shadows that are not so bright. According to him, the camera creates gods. When I met the guys who were behind the gods, I discovered that some of them were monstrous. On November 18, 2002, James Coburn, an actor who was noted for his distinctive growly voice, strong screen presence, and performances in classic action and Western films, passed away as a result of a heart attack. Coburn was tall and ruggedly attractive. In the aftermath of a lengthy and at times turbulent career in Hollywood, he passed away at his home in Beverly Hills, California, a place that he had called home for a very long time, and where he had lived his last years in relative tranquility. The age of the man was 74. Paula Murad Coburn, the actor's wife, has stated that the dying moments of the actor's life were both heartfelt and intensely intimate. After some time had passed, she disclosed that the two of them had been spending a peaceful evening together, listening to music in their living room. This was a shared pleasure and a source of frequent comfort in their relationship. As a result of a profoundly personal and emotional turn of events, Coburn passed away while she was holding him in her arms. She would later characterize this moment as serene, despite the fact that it was abrupt and tragic. A striking contrast was created between the tranquil environment of that evening, which was accentuated by the music that they both cherished, and the suddenness with which he passed away. Coburn was sent to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, which is considered to be one of the most famous hospitals in Los Angeles, despite the fact that there were significant efforts made to save his life. Upon arrival, he was formally declared dead. His passing brought an end to a spectacular life and career that had spanned more than 4 decades during his lifetime. Recognized for his appearances in films such as The Magnificent Seven, which was released in 1960, Our Man Flint, which was released in 1966, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which was released in 1973, and his portrayal in Affliction, which won him an Academy Award in 1997. Through the course of his life, Coburn had faced a number of personal obstacles, one of which was a debilitating battle with rheumatoid arthritis, which forced him to take a break from his job for a number of years. As a result of his tenacity and enduring talent, his victorious return to the cinema in the 1990s was regarded as a testament to his ability to persevere.